Hello, Amy Elizabeth, somatic and intuitive healer. It is Monday, April 8th. It is just edging up on 3 p.m. Central Time, which means that we are officially in the astrological new year. So it is a great time to start to lean into exploring what you want your world to look like. Now, just a couple pieces. This whole eclipse spectrum is happening starting last fall on the Aries Libra axis. And that Aries Libra axis has the south node in Libra and the north node in Aries. So there's this real feel of how do we move past our people pleasing and how do we move into deeper alignment with managing ourselves and bringing ourselves online while simultaneously moving into alignment with life, with spirit, with the cosmos, and paying attention to the spaces that we're very agreeable and that we feel like what everybody else is doing is fine. And that we don't want to be the Debbie Downer. We don't want to be the negative one. We don't want to get in anybody's way. And simultaneously, we also have a deep call that it's just not enough. Like that there's more. The call and the whisper of, and there's more. So that is a big, big piece of this 18-month transit that we are in the middle of. So at some point, we are going to be asked to stop thinking about everybody else and start trusting and following what is best for us. And now, I don't mean in a unhealthy, crazy way where we're running around trying to manage everybody else. Managing anybody outside of us is never what is healthy or what is best. That is actually a big, big marker. Like if that you are a person that wants to support creating restrictions, denying people or groups of humans autonomy or rights, that you yourself feel so disempowered that where you're headed in life is to disempower everyone else, to try to grab on to some sense of power, to try to manage your relationship with your emotions or your relationship with the moon, which, when we're dealing with eclipses, what we are dealing with is the movement of the moon and how the north node and the south node, which represent the head and the tail of the dragon, there's spaces on the moon's elliptical that actually move backwards through the sky, affect our life and call us into something more. And whether we view them as a north star or a course for our spiritual evolution, whether we interact with them as fate and destiny, this is really all linked in with our emotional space, with our ability to be changeable, and the reality that change isn't scary, change is being alive. So, on that note, and on the note of the moon, I'm just going to read a little excerpt from The Girl Who Soared Over Fairyland and Cut the Moon in Two by Catherine Valente. We love you, Catherine Valente, at this house. So, a moon is a moon and it orbits around the earth. This was said by our main character, September. And then the reply comes, well, yes, that's true. It's just as true that a girl is a girl and orbits around life. But the moon is many things. Nothing is only itself. The moon is the moon forever and always. But she is also alive. And like anything alive, she ages and grows and has rebellious years and takes up with passing planets and has her moods and her stubborn ways. It is only that her ways are so big, they become our ways. She changes her face over the course of the month. Well, who doesn't? Who is the same creature on the 1st as on the 31st? Anything might happen in such a space. And when the moon changes, she keeps the time for the world below. She pulls up the tides like a blanket when she is cold and pushes them down again when she is too warm, and thus rolls out the hours of the day. I will tell you the truth. The heart of the moon is a month. She is an engine, and as she turns, she spins out month after month, like the pages of a book flying free. And down below, folks pack them up into a calendar and understand the rhythm of the world. Full moon to full moon, and 12 of those make a year. I hope you understand the moon makes time. All moons make time. And a yeti, born on the moon, fed of the rocks of the moon and the water of her snows, is like a clock full of blood and bone that walks and talks and sings rhyming songs at eternity. So why I loved that so much is eclipses are a way of passing time. They're a way of tracking our movement through time and space, or space time, and how we change and how we grow is in direct relationship to the ways in which we can heal our wounds, which brings me to our friend Chiron. Chiron was cazimi this eclipse, and while it was totally full scale cloud cover here in Minnesota, um, we still felt all of the pieces. And maybe it's better to just feel the pieces as the moon would rather than needing to see the pieces. So, Chiron is in Aries right now. And the Chironic energy of Aries is where the search for identity predominates. And if you look around the world right now, especially here in the United States where I am, we are struggling to find our identity as a country. What is our identity? Who are we as Americans? Who are we as a country? Why are we here? What does the rest of the world, what does the rest of the intergalactic community need and want from us as a people, as a part of this global and galactic life force? So, this is kind of a life and death. It feels like a life and death issue. Who are we going to be? Who are we going to choose? How does the core wound, which is one of the primary things that Chiron represents, until it can heal that core wound, until it can see the core wound and start to address it, when it can move into the maverick or the teacher, the trainer of warriors. There's a lot of spaces that Chiron can go once it has addressed its core wound. Until it addresses its core wound, it's just spinning in this space. Chiron is a warrior, and a warrior struggles to fight cleanly when it's got this terrible core wound. And now Chiron and Aries has this trailblazer energy. For any of you that are around 50, as early as 48, as old as probably 53, um, and actually it feels like older than that. Um, you've been dealing with your Chiron return. Those of you that are around 50 are really in it right now. For some of you, this eclipse could have hit smack dab in your Chiron return. pushing at the energy of how are you meeting your core wound? In what ways are you a trailblazer in your own healing? Chiron and Aries people are known to be incredibly courageous. And courage asks us to develop a discipline in empowering ourselves and others. And that's the trick there is ourselves and others. And if something truly empowers us as an individual, it doesn't steal power from anybody else. That is what empowerment is. And for me, that is what so much of this eclipse has felt like. What do we feel, the moon, about our wound, Chiron, that doesn't allow us to empower the sun, ourselves, and others? There's the Aries piece, there's the North Node. And understanding that for destiny to unfold, for our spiritual evolution to unfold, it is dependent on how we meet our own individual empowerment. I can promise you, if it disempowers you, it disempowers everyone around you. And if it disempowers others, if it takes away somebody else's power, if it restricts them from being able to control their body, if it restricts them about who they're going to love or who they're going to be, how they're going to interact in the world, you are simultaneously disempowering yourself. And we have such a disconnect from our emotional state, our moon, and the vitality of a life path that is nourishing, that it just festers this wound and it festers the fear of our own sense of disempowerment, which brings us to Eris. This is the second in a video. The first Eris video was put up earlier. This goddess of chaos and strife. Um, in some myths, she's Aries' twin sister. And a part of what Eris brings to our attention in Aries, a place she has been since 1922 and she will remain until 2044. Eris is a slow moving planetoid, 548-year orbit on this sweet pea. Western philosophy holds a preoccupation in finding order in chaos. And that same preoccupation rolls over into order being synonymous with truth. One of the things that Eris teaches us, I'm just going to say it again. We Westerners, and maybe all of humans, hold a deep preoccupation with finding order in chaos, and in order being synonymous with truth, that to find truth, there has to be order. And Eris teaches us, one of her primary lessons is that the only truth is chaos. Everything is born out of chaos. Chaos isn't scary. Chaos is just bigger than our little human selves can comprehend. So Eris is the patron of creative chaos, to the point where there is a quote attributed to her in her mythology in which she says, "I am chaos. I am the substance from which your artists and scientists build rhythms. I am the spirit. I am chaos. I am alive, and I tell you that you are free." So any time we come up against this space with Eris and Aries is a strong desire for independence, a fearless approach to challenges. And part of that fearlessness is to, as I spoke about in the video earlier today, to not exclude outside perspectives from your field. So expand your field. Always be willing to expand your field. Always be willing to expand your lens. It is a guaranteed way for you to heal your wounds and a guaranteed way to ensure that you are personally empowered, and in doing so, that the people around you are equally empowered. You cannot empower one without empowering another. So keep in mind that when we push Eris out, when we push away chaos, we are denying an outside perspective. And you can check back to my Eris video earlier today for more of this. Well, why is Eris this outside perspective? She's an outsider. And when we, again, broaden our lenses, open things up to perspectives other than our own, and understand that when we are trying to control and deal with the power that that we perceive that other people have, we are actually working from our wounding. So, thank you, Catherine Valente, for the lovely passage. If you feel ready to dive into your journey, reach out to me, aebodyalchemy.com. Hit me with your questions, your comments. If you have something you want to hear me speak into, definitely reach out and let me know. Dedications and requests are accepted. Be sure to hit the like button. Share me with your friends, subscribe. I love hearing from you and interacting with you. Be sure to get plenty of rest, hydrate, and Happy New Year. It's time. We're ready to go.